Finally, after a year and a half, I finally have a Cobalt Drake. Even if it is unpainted, I'm still very happy to own at least a version of Drake, and I'm very disappointed. Well, not that disappointed. I'm a little disappointed to learn that Takara plans to keep their app exclusives off of Hasbro's markets, which is really understandable, and also really funny that Takara gets real exclusives, and Hasbro gets, like, soft exclusives. I'm looking at Unite Shinobi and Bear Scratch, but if this is anything to go by, that means we're also gonna have to wait another year or so before we get, like, an unpainted or clear version of Aero Pegasus, and it's also very unlikely we'll ever see a retool of Cobalt Drake or Aero Pegasus in the near or far off future. I could be very wrong about that, but I don't think that Hasbro's gonna do more than just look at the mold. I don't think Takara's gonna let them. And despite the lack of paint and clear plastic parts, I still think this looks phenomenal blade-wise. It's also nice to think that this is what Cobalt Drake would look like if Chrome had actually mastered the Bay instead of having, you know, Cobalt Dragoon created. He failed to beat X with that, and then he had the likes of Impact Drake handed to him at the cost of staring down Team Persona. He'll probably fail at doing that too, and as far as like competitive viability goes, this thing was 100% carried by its weight whenever it was top dog. Like, the original weight was like 38 grams, so I mean, yeah, weight did carry this thing, but what is unfortunate is the lack of the metal coat. Instead of having a clear coat applied, the weight for my copy came in at 37.17 grams, which is still on, like, a somewhat heavier side from what I've seen, and it can still compete with other hard-hitting attackers, but the shape is just... the shape doesn't do a whole lot for it. Like, from what I remember, this thing was better off on a defensive build other than being an attack type, just because it's, like, super square. You mix that with the weight and recoil, and honestly, like, the weight and recoil was no wonder why this thing was top dog. The part here is 460. I've already talked about it like once or twice. I usually skip over parts like this, but this comes in an all clear plastic ratchet, and the clear here is lovely, but I do wish it did have like the sparkle effect that the original Cobalt Drake release had. So I mean, it's a horrible ratchet. I wish it had sparklies, and that's really all I got to say about this thing. The bit here is flat, and I do love the use of two different plastics here. The white flat base with the clear shaft, it just looks incredible, and flat is still a really good bit to this day, and more color variety for aesthetic enthusiasts are always welcome. Although, much like 460, I wish we had the little sparkly bits inside of the clear part like Cobalt Drake has. Full combo wise, this looks incredible still. Like, it's not the home run that the Cobalt Drake original colors were. I don't even use the XEP. Every Takara release I get, usually I keep the codes for a bit and give them to a friend or, you know, whoever wants them. To get this, I had to go through Makara Japan for the release, so maybe someday in the future, I'll put any of the remaining codes I have up on the channel page whenever I get more Takara releases. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the test battles to see if this truly is the definition of mid.
Thank you for those who watched to the very end of the video. If you haven't, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my Instagram down below and all that other cool stuff. Also, if you feel inclined and haven't already done so, join the Discord link down below. It's a server full of Beyblade fans of any and all generations, and we'd love to bring more people back into the hobby, or fans who are just looking for a community to get involved with.